Ways and Means Committee will come to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Scott. Present. Commissioner Becker McCormick. Here. Commissioner Marecki has requested to be excused. Commissioner Baydoun.
Here.
Commissioner Anderson.
Here.
Commissioner Palomera.
Here.
Chair Varga.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next item.
Chairwoman's remarks.
I have none.
Item C, approval of the minutes of the February 11th, 2020
So
meeting.
moved.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item D, unfinished business, there is none. Item E1, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35013, certifying revenue in the general fund.
Thank you.
Move approval.
It's been moved and supported. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E2, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35052, certifying revenue in the Delinquent Tax Revolving 2017 Fund.
Move approval.
Is
Support.
anyone from the treasurer's office here yet?
The treasurer's office, Kelly Rowell, MMB, the treasurer's office did state that they were coming, so,
They indicated?
yes, they did.
I would like to just pass this temporarily to the end of the agenda then. Number
Support.
3. Madam,
Requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35082, certifying revenue in the County Road Fund.
well, we surely need that one. Commissioner Palomera moves, supported by Commissioner Martha G. Scott. Discussion. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask a clarification of this. Is this the case that was with the snowplow, that the reason they're taking that money and using it for that purpose? Is that the settlement we're talking about? Is there anyone here, though?
Terrence,
Through the chair, Commissioner Anderson, yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
would you identify yourself for the record?
Terrence Adams, Deputy Director, Office of Fiscal Agency.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you,
Commissioner, are you okay with that?
Certainly, if you have something to add.
Well,
I'd like
this
to.
was the one, it was discussed earlier. I believe the settlement was $8 million, and our share of it was $3 million because our excess insurance coverage covered the balance.
Okay.
So I believe the $2,667,000 is what is below $3 million that we haven't spent yet. So
Okay.
we have incurred some costs. That less the $3 million, which is our responsibility, is covered by excess insurance.
Okay, all right. All right, thank you.
all in favor of this item, please say yes.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E4, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35090, certifying revenue in the general fund.
Move for approval.
It's been moved and supported. Discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E5, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35088, reallocating expenditures in the general fund.
Move approval. Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E6, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35089, reallocating expenditures in the Juvenile Justice Abuse Neglect Fund.
Discussion?
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E7, requesting a commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35077, reallocating expenditures in the general fund.
This is for the Register of Deeds. Martha G. Scott moves and supported by Commissioner Baydoun. All in favor, say aye.
I have a question.
Anyone opposed? Oh, Commissioner
Thank you.
Anderson?
I just wondered if we could get a clarification, if there's anyone here from that department, from the Register of Deeds? Okay. What,
Good afternoon.
sorry, I'll let her in.
Turn your microphone on, please, and identify yourself for the record.
Jenny Wright, Deputy Register of Deeds Finance.
Commissioner Anderson?
I just wondered why these are considered unplanned. Salary increases and capital outlay for equipment and that, I would thought would have been brought to us at the time of budget.
We're actually moving money out of capital into non-capital assets. It's for scanners and printers for when DOT does their overall refresh of all the computers. So it wasn't capital. They're not going to be that expensive, so we moved it out of capital.
Okay, so I guess our paperwork says it's unplanned salary increases, printers and office furnishing.
We've had some turnover in our fraud unit. So there's been one person that's been doing a bulk of the work. And so we didn't know we were going to have the turnover. Therefore, we want to give him an incentive to stay and keep doing what he's doing.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So you're increasing the pay so that way that person will not leave.
Correct.
That's good. Institutional memory is very good. Thank you. Any other questions? We have a motion and support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E8, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35074, reallocating expenditures in the general fund.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E9, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35083, reallocating expenditures in the drug enforcement programs fund.
So moved.
It's been moved and supported.
Just a question.
Question? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sumaya Harp, Director of Administration with the Sheriff's Office. Yes,
Hi,
sir.
Ms. Harp. I appreciate you being here. I just wanted to ask a quick question of, what is Ollie Berry Fleet Services?
He oversees the Sheriff's Office vehicles. There's over 200 vehicles, and now we added to his project consultant responsibility to oversee the contracts for the vehicle maintenances. We have two contracts, one with Bell Tire and one with Metro Tech, and for collision as well. So he oversees both contracts as well.
Okay. Is that something that's bid out usually?
The contracts, yes. Yes, there was an
'Cause I-
RFP, request for proposal, and it did come to public safety, and they approved it.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I remember a while back, we had issues with the vehicles where no one person was actually in charge of it. So that was something I believe we sort of insisted on. So thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion? We do. And support? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E10, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35086, reallocating expenditures in the general fund.
Any questions?
Move approval.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item E11, requesting commission approval of budget adjustment 2020-35080, reallocating expenditures in the building and ground maintenance fund.
Any discussion?
So moved.
It's been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
Item F, such other matters as may properly be submitted before the committee.
Kelly, do you have anything?
Commissioner, I do not have anything today. Thank you.
Are we gathering the information for the next budget?
Yes, ma'am, we are. We sent out the revenue estimates. Be sending out part one and part two of the budget instructions by mid-March at the latest.
Okay. That includes, you're going to be sending it to the commission as well at that time?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
I don't know if the treasurer is here yet, but I can tell you what information we do have on number 2.
Okay, we'll come back to
Okay.
it. Commissioner
I
Anderson?
just wanted to mention that Kelly indicated, that had asked her about report on the salary of, that we approved that $16,000 increase at the last meeting, and she's indicated she'll get that for me. So if anybody else was interested, just wanted,
Well, that's great. Thank you.
yeah.
We're going to go back to the item that we passed temporarily, and Mr. Abel can speak on it for us, and then we can dispose of it.
We had, through the chair, we had asked if the treasurer's office could send a representative on this item, actually for 2 reasons. One is it was primarily for advertising-related expenses for the pay-as-you-stay legislation that's being proposed. We didn't have any background on that, and we thought that the treasurer's office could talk about it, and also because $1.3 million sounded like a lot of money for advertising. So I had asked Terrence to do some background on this. What their total budget is for advertising is about almost $2.3 million for the year. That's what they want their budget to be. So far, what's been approved is $1 million, so this is the difference of approximately $1.3 million. And it is consistent with what they spent last year and in years past, which is approximately $2.1 million. But we were hoping that they can give us some flavor on what they were proposing to do with this new pay-as-you-stay legislation that they're proposing to spend the bulk of the advertising on. So that was the reason that we had asked them to appear, and I don't know that they're here yet.
Okay, we can make sure that we can invite them back for the next meeting, and they can clarify in person. We'd love to see the treasurer anyways.
Do we don't have that item before us, right?
Item number 2.
Item number 2.
It is
Item
now,
2.
I brought it back.
Okay, I just wondered, so that's the 1.3
Yes.
million. Okay, so that's
Yeah,
gonna,
and Commissioner, our concern was, 1.3 seems like a lot of money for advertising. What are you going to do with it? Was basically the question, and give us some background on the legislation that you want to talk to the public about.
do we want to pass that for the day until he comes in and,
I don't know what the sense of urgency is around it. Perhaps Kelly Rao
Kelly,
can.
do you know what the
I
urgency
can,
is?
I do not know what the urgency is. There may be some outstanding invoices that need to be paid. I don't have any of that information in front of me. I can tell you that there's various advertisements on radio, billboard, TV, media, and it covers that 1.3. So there are various, about 30 different organizations that we are advertising with.
I don't think that the treasurer is spending money that isn't approved yet, so I've got to believe that whatever commitment they have is probably going against the budgeted $1 million. So I would hope that there's no invoices outstanding on the 1.3.
They may be waiting to do the advertising until this is approved, yes.
Well, this is going to be we're going to have to get the word out that it's a new program, so,
do we have the
I-
details on the program yet?
no, but we will make sure that they come back in 2 weeks, and we will go through it.
Okay. Just think it's not really a good precedent to,
Well, because they spent the money last year similar to what they're asking for this year.
this is a new program, if I'm
I
not mistaken.
understand the
totally
program is different, but the amount of money that they spent last year is about the same as they're asking for this year?
There is
Total.
a consistency, yes, there is a consistency, but again, this is a new spending program, and so we just thought that we might want to get some more flavor on, exactly what was being proposed.
I look forward to that.
Kelly?
Just to know that these are delinquent tax revenue funds that they are requesting to spend the funds out of. I'm not sure of if it's additional to a new program, but they do spend a couple $1 million a year, at least $1.5 million a year on advertising for the delinquent taxes to get the word out that people to come in and pay their property taxes.
And it has paid off,
Oh, yes.
Truly
big
has.
time, big
That's why I
time.
would support it.
Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the delinquent fund is a separate fund. You just talked about, Mark, you just talked about the amount that's usually spent. Is it spent out of the delinquent fund every year?
Yeah,
Or is
the-
this separate?
The delinquent tax revolving fund is an enterprise fund that there's separate accounting for. Historically, the net revenue over expenses of that fund, which is effectively the interest on delinquent taxes and penalties on delinquent taxes, ultimately gets rolled over to the general fund.
Okay.
So although we account for it separately, at some point in time, the equity in that fund gets rolled over to the general fund. So although it's spent out of that fund, it's really taking out of what would otherwise potentially be general fund money at some point in time.
Okay. Thank you.
But in the past, it has paid off. The more they advertised, it seemed the more people would come in to pay their
Oh,
taxes.
the treasurer is here, I understand.
Oh, the treasurer is here. We talked long enough.
All right.
Well, I'm glad to hear. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hi, we're from the treasurer's office.
Please join us at the table. We've been discussing your item.
We've been waiting on
Glad, glad to see you. Take a deep breath and identify yourselves for the record after you turn the microphone on, please. Turn your microphone on.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Jean-Pierre Adams, Chief Deputy Treasurer.
Masira Beg, Assistant to the Deputy CFO.
Thank you. We have some questions. We've been discussing your item. Commissioner Anderson? You can start us
I
off.
defer to
Mark?
Mark.
Okay,
Thank you, Commissioner. Janvier, the item on the agenda it's item number 2, and it's for a budget adjustment for $1.3 million plus coming out of fund balance to fund additional advertising expenses. Now, the indication was on the advertising expenses that would be used for educating taxpayers on the new pay-as-you-stay legislation and the related Wayne County Treasurer's Office Payment Plan Program. So we were just interested in the education that was going to be proposed on what the legislation was and how you're going to be educating the taxpayers. And also, I know that approximately $2.1 million was spent last year on advertising. So this is going to, obviously, you're going to spend more here, less somewhere else. So you can give us a flavor for your entire, advertising budget.
Okay, so let me go back to our budget for this year. So we requested about 2.1 million in our budget, but in our budget, we had 750,000 approved for advertising. And so we were looking, initially, we were going to stop spending early on, but because of the new legislation, which we hadn't planned for, we decided we would go for the amendment for the full amount that we historically had had. So We'll be spending it to educate the taxpayers on the Pay-As-You-Stay program, which
Could you tell us about that program?
Pay-As-You-Stay comes from legislation that's currently pending. It's been passed by the Senate and the House. It's House Bill 5124. It's on the governor's desk. It's awaiting signature. We've been told it will be signed in the first week of March. It's a bill that was originated by Mayor Duggan and CEO Evans to assist the taxpayers who have income below the poverty limits. And so these taxpayers traditionally in Detroit would have been eligible for an exemption for property taxes, but in many years, they have missed that exemption or not been aware of the opportunity. So this is designed to provide some redress to the taxpayers who are living below a poverty line. And what would happen is, once they receive their exemption and we determine that they have outstanding delinquent taxes, we would do a comparison of their delinquent taxes to the taxable value of their property. If the outstanding taxes are greater than 10% of the taxable value, we would reduce the delinquent tax amount to either 10% of the taxable value or the delinquent amount, whichever is lower. We would also cancel all interest, penalties, and fees, and then there are certain service charges that could be canceled that are levied under the Revenue Bond Act. So essentially, it lowers the obligation for impoverished taxpayers for the total amount of their delinquent taxes.
If I
Commissioner
could,
Anderson, go ahead.
Madam Chair, so this is available, the advertising is going to be directed at all of those impoverished homeowners that had, and be available, this legislation would be available for everyone in Wayne County.
So here's the twist, okay? So in Wayne County, the program automatically goes into effect for every community unless they opt out.
Okay.
So the local communities would have to opt out, otherwise their taxpayers would be eligible for the program.
Okay. So it would benefit across the board?
Across the board.
Provided they don't opt out?
Yes.
Okay. And you said it's sitting on the governor's desk?
It's
for
on the
signature?
governor's desk for signature.
Okay. Can we get some information on it? Because that's sort of what threw some of us, that we hadn't received any
absolutely.
information on. You probably have a,
I do have talking points I can send over
Okay.
this afternoon,
thank
and
you,
we'll get back.
thank you.
I have you on the list, Commissioner Martha Scott. But I wanted to, they would have to first apply for the exemption. If they don't, then you can't help them. So you would, if they come to you, you could tell them, please go to your local city,
yes.
township, whatever,
Yes.
and then we can help you.
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing. So we've already started to put some information on the website saying that we think it's coming. This is what you have to do. You have to apply for the exemption, be approved for the exemption, and then you're eligible for the Pay-As-You-Stay program, which is, it not only reduces your taxes, but it allows you to pay over 3 years. And those people who are already in our distressed owner occupant extension plans would be eligible to roll over. So that extension plan is only for a limited period to forbear foreclosure, but this would then give them a 3-year period to pay those delinquent taxes.
If they come to your office, would you be able to give them the form?
Yes, we're
Is
developing the agreement right now with Corporation Counsel's help.
Is that going to be just for Wayne County and Detroit, or the other entities
Our
as
agreement
well?
would be for Wayne County and all of the communities within Wayne County. Each treasurer has the ability to design their own program based on their constituents' needs.
So once you have this all laid out, then you would send these to the individual treasurers and say, this is what we're proposing, and
Yes.
if you want changes, you have to do that on your own.
Yes. So what we have to do is send a notice to all of the local treasurers, local communities, so it'll be going out to the mayors and the treasurers as soon as the governor signs it. It'll be a notice advising them of the program and giving them the program components and letting them know that they have 21 days in which to opt out.
Okay. Commissioner Martha G. Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This probably doesn't have anything to do with it, but those that were overtaxed in Detroit,
Yes.
can this have anything to help them with?
The overassessments are really
Right.
separate from the delinquent tax collection process, but there may be some people who have delinquent taxes that are older than 2014, I think is when they said they made the adjustment. We do have some taxpayers that have older taxes that are in our ERSPA payment plan. They still have older taxes outstanding. So that would eliminate at least the penalties and interest and would bring those amounts down as well.
Oh, okay.
So to the extent that some of these people were overassessed in earlier years and they're already in plans, that would help them.
Okay. Well, thank you, and I thank you all for what you do over there helping these people.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Before you got
appreciate
here, I'd
that.
already voted, because I know that you all do what is right to help these people in
We
their
try.
taxes.
We
Yeah,
try.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank
We
you.
have an awesome treasurer.
Yes, we
Commissioner Baydun, and then Commissioner Mark.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Obviously, the goal is to keep as many people in their homes as possible. Couple questions. So, for the sake of our discussion, let's say a homeowner with a taxable value of $7,000 and they owe about $12,000, let's say $12,000 in back taxes, interest, and penalties. You will be able, under this new program, you will be able to reduce the taxes to the same level or under the $7,000 taxable value.
It would be 10% of the taxable value, so it would be reduced to $700.
Oh, to 700.
$700.
So from 12,000, it will go down to 700.
Yes.
And the rest will be wiped out.
Yes.
Wow. So based on these arrangements, do we have any number of homeowners in Detroit or throughout the county who could benefit from this program?
Okay, so far, we've only gotten data on the exemption from the city of Detroit, and there are 3,200 taxpayers who could benefit in the city of Detroit. Once we start to pull the data in from the out-county communities, then we'll know better how many taxpayers that would.
Do you really expect any city to opt out from helping their residents?
We hope not, but there could be some where what we've discovered is that in some communities, these homeowners who have the exemption don't have delinquent taxes. So there's a possibility that they could opt out, given that there are no outstanding delinquent taxes and that they're giving their exemptions on a regular basis, which was not the case in some communities.
Yeah, like the city of Dearborn, for example, they do have a program to give out exemptions based on economic hardship. People apply for that. So realistically, the city of Dearborn could come back and say, no, we're not interested. We already have a program in place.
They've regularly reviewed them, and they have no outstanding delinquent taxes. I think the city of Dearborn is a good example because based on our preliminary numbers, they only have one taxpayer who might be eligible for this.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, will they have to apply each year?
It's based on the municipality's rules, so it's usually every year. But each municipality is required to have a poverty exemption program.
Since we are recording this, I wanted to make sure that people knew that they had to apply for this
Yes.
every year.
Every year.
Because that's been an issue with a lot of people. They apply once, and then they feel that it's over.
Yeah, that's
and
absolutely
they're on
right.
the list forever.
On this program, it's open until 2023. Once you apply and you get the reduction for your delinquent taxes, you're no longer eligible for that reduction. So it's a one-time reduction, and then the taxpayer would have to continue to apply each year for the exemption.
Commissioner Baydun?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On a different subject related to tax foreclosure, I remember when the Wayne County Treasurer, Mr. Sabri, was here a few months ago, last year, they identified about 300 property owners whose taxes are behind, but they could not be reached. They don't communicate. People knocked on their doors and letters were sent out. Do you know anything about that? Did any of those people respond?
I'm not sure which group that was, but I do believe that they had an outreach effort with one of our partners to continue to reach out to them and to provide them with assistance to get them out of the delinquent tax or foreclosure mode. So I can't give you a certain answer.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Baker McCormick?
Thank you. Can you send us a list of the potential tax foreclosure residents by district? Can you send us that?
I can check with our IT people and see if they can do that.
Okay. And the advertisement, the 1.3, is that money that has already been spent?
No, that is
Okay,
not
it's
money
not.
that has already
Okay.
been spent.
So, and so all of this, or most of it will be used for the,
A substantial amount of it would be used for pay-as-you-stay, and then some of it, again, would be used for our regular foreclosure prevention program as well.
okay. And for those that did not file or request the exemption on a local level, then they would not qualify. Is that correct?
That's correct. But
Okay.
what we are telling people who have not yet applied and are in the process of applying, we're encouraging them to come in and enter into our interest reduction, which is our ERSPA plan, or the distressed owner occupancy extension. And then that way, once they're approved for the exemption, they can roll that over into the pay-as-you-stay plan, and those monies go directly to the outstanding delinquent, the reduced delinquent taxes.
Okay, and so the advertisement that you're doing, for me, I guess it defeats the purpose if they don't qualify because they don't know that they need to apply in the first place.
Right.
So are there any efforts to make sure that we get that information out to the
Yes.
community to
So,
apply
We have
for
already
exemption?
started.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's
to
okay.
interrupt. We have already started. There have been billboards throughout Wayne County. I don't think they're running now because now we're focusing on the forfeiture foreclosure issue. But earlier, we had the apply for your poverty tax exemptions running throughout on the digital billboards throughout the city and the county. So we were already starting those efforts to make them aware that they have to apply, and that would be part of our push as well with this advertising money.
And in your mailings to those that are in tax foreclosure, is that indicated in the mailing that they should apply for that, and if they haven't?
I think it was included in our yellow bag, which is the notice that we give earlier, like in November, when we do the yellow bag campaign where we go around and we
I'd like
put that
to
on every
clarify
door.
whether that's in there, and if not, if that's something that can be included, because I think that's important for folks that continuously get caught up in the same vicious
Right.
cycle every year, if they know that, well, for next year at least, maybe I'll apply.
Right.
Okay,
So
so-
we'll get you what we have and we'll take note of that it
Great.
should be in there. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I would like to request that, I know that the list can be given to us because we had gotten it before.
Okay.
And, but I would like to request it in an Excel file,
Okay.
so that way we personally could mail to the people ourselves and urging them to take a look at this law. And if they qualify, then they should go in and do this. So hopefully, with all of us hitting them with the information, that they would take advantage of it.
Okay.
Go
Absolutely.
ahead, Commissioner Baker McCormick.
What I would really like to see, because we I think requested that before. We did. Right? Is there a way that we can, it's a regular ongoing report that soon as you have the delinquent taxes, because now we're into March where they're into the foreclosure process, right?
Okay, yes.
So maybe before this point, maybe we can get a list.
Would you like those properties when they go into forfeiture or at what stage? Because they come in, for this year, we'll be getting the 2019 taxes as delinquent taxes on March 1st. So then we have that full year before they go into the forfeiture status. And then once they go into forfeiture status, they have that full year to redeem before they're foreclosed. So I might suggest that we start with forfeiture.
Okay.
And then how often would you want to receive it? Semi-annually, quarterly,
Annual is fine.
Yeah.
annual is fine? Okay. So at each stage or at forfeiture and then at foreclosure?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, because if we could get to them before they get to the foreclosure point,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it would help, I don't know. I'm
So
just-
let me
through.
go back and look at our procedures on the notices.
Okay.
And I can determine when we do the list for the entire county.
Okay.
Before it goes into each stage, and then I can time those reports in accordance with how we produce those reports, like for our mailers and our notice people. Okay.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll be in front of us often, so if you have any questions or anything, please feel free to call my office and we can discuss it further, and I'm sure that we can make that available to everybody then.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Martha G. Scott?
Regarding the foreclosure, it's not 3 years, it's 4 years?
It's 3-year process.
That's what I thought.
3 years.
Okay.
So the first year is delinquent, the second year is forfeiture, the third year is foreclosure.
Okay, thank you.
At that point, if someone is behind on their 2017 taxes, they will be facing foreclosure this year.
They're in the foreclosure stage.
Yeah. 2016, they probably lost it last year.
Right,
If they're delinquent for 2018, they have until next year.
right, because at one time, we had more time. and
Yes,
then the
yes.
Legislature narrowed it down.
Yeah, they
some more.
shortened.
Right, yes.
Well, I think that was done
When we were there.
when we were there, and the reasoning behind it was that by waiting all them 5 years, the properties would be worth nothing because being open and vacant that long, it was just not good.
And some people still think they got that kind of time.
Yeah, well, we'll educate them from the commission, so hopefully we'll get to the front of it and help as much as we can. Give our best to the treasurer and tell him to
certainly
keep
will.
up the good job, and
Okay,
I know that he has very good staff to
thank you.
make sure that the people are taken care of.
Yeah, we appreciate
Anyone
that.
else? Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
Just-
Kelly?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All righty, well, thank you for coming, and it
you
was
for
very
having us.
informative. And if you would do a little paragraph for us so we can put this in our newsletters as well, that would be
Yes.
great.
Okay, absolutely. Okay,
Keep
thank
it
you.
coming. Thank you. Next item,
Item G, public comments.
anyone from the public wishing to comment? Anyone from the public wishing to comment? Next item.
Item H, adjournment.
Been moved and supported. All in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Yes,
That was number 2. We voted on it. Didn't we vote on it?
we did. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Don't scare me. Maybe I was losing it. I know you would have got me.